Good evening. Welcome to another session of the Sea of Glass. Tonight we're going to go to confirm the covenant with the Lord. It's such a beautiful thing to understand. Once you begin to understand life in spirit, you begin to understand something great here. This is not like religion where they tell you that you're going to go to heaven someday. This is heaven now in the understanding of the great power of yourself. Heaven is inside of you. And the more you begin to understand the power of the scriptures in spiritual value, now in spiritual value, not in the way that Christians understand it, not in the way that the Muslim understand it, not in the way that religion of the world understand it, but in spiritual value. And you're going to see something powerful tonight here. You're going to see the covenant of the Lord being confirmed by each one of us in the understanding. Listen to this show here, and I will tell you how to confirm the covenant of the Lord inside of you. You will see how it works. Okay, Rita, you work. Go ahead.
Okay, people at home, you take out your Bibles to the Old Testament. We always go to the Old Testament. The book of Exodus, chapter 24, the covenant confirmed. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance, but Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near, and the people may not come up with him."
Okay. You got to really understand here. 70 elders. Moses brings love, his brother Aaron. You see, these are not people now. These are verb. Moses is the lawgiver. He gives the law. It's the only one that is allowed. You see, you can't go to the Lord and say, this is the law. You have to go to the Lord and understand the law so you can get close to God. You can only get close to God by understanding the law. You can't see the Lord unless you see the teaching. It's like a person inside of you. If you see a person and the way he thinks and the way he understands things, once you begin to understand them, then you begin to know what God is. Before that, you don't understand it. You know, you can take the whole Christian world. You can take the whole Catholic Church, and they do not know what the Lord is. They have no ideas. They've never been there. They never went close to the Lord to understand on the mountain. You're going on this mountain now. Mountain is the teaching of the law. And once you're going up there, you're going with the teacher of the law, the power that Moses is. He's the lawgiver. And then Aaron and his two sons are love. And you got to remember, there's two sons here. If you look at the book of Leviticus, you're going to find out that God kills those two sons. And he's going to keep Eleazar and the other one there. But you got to understand the power here, that these people are going near the Lord. And love is only allowed to go there with Moses in the back of Moses. And the 24 elders. 24 elders now. This is very important to understand this. The 24 elders are the power inside of you to understand great scriptures. 73 elders. 73, yeah. 73 elders. You take the 73 of the Spirit that you learn in the scriptures. And the most thing that makes you see the understanding of the Lord. Now, these are not people now. This is you going up the mountain there with Moses. And Moses, not a man here, it's a spirit inside of you. You have to understand these things in total spiritual deed, and you understand the power of the Lord inside of you. You cannot understand these things by thinking like a Christian or God, a Christian tell you, the only thing that you have to do is believe in Jesus and you go into heaven. That's not true. The truth is that you have to go near the Lord and learn the law of the Lord. This is how it works. You cannot understand God unless you understand his laws. You know, if you didn't know the laws of the country and you were here like a dummy, and you know what a red light was or a green light or anything else. You couldn't travel anywhere because you couldn't do anything. And that's what happened to the people of the world. They never learned the law. And then you have no one in all of Christianity that teaches the law. They have no idea what you're talking about when you talk about the laws of God, because they've never been up the mountain. They never went up the mountain of the Lord to understand the great power of the law. You see, the law's inside of us, and it feels inside of us. And if it's not right, we feel that it's not right. But the laws of God are perfect. They make sense inside of us, so we can come to understand the teaching of the laws inside you as a spiritual way of understanding the Lord your God. You have to come to understand the Lord your God within the teaching of the law. Those elders now is what you understood so far. You bring them with you. And you said, I understand this part of the Bible. I understand the crossing of the Red Sea. I understand the giving of the commandment. But now I have to bring that with me so I can come to see and understand the laws in all the laws that God has made mankind to understand. And these laws are so important inside of you. If you want to go to heaven, this is where heaven is. It's not somewhere else after you die. That's stupid. That's ignorance. You know, the Catholic Church tried to tell you that you're going to be flying somewhere else after you die. That's not true. It's the most dumbest thing that they can probably see for educated men, to tell you, oh man, St. Peter's going to be waiting there for you. This is where the understanding of the law is. This is what heaven is. It's to confirm with the Lord, the covenant of the Lord, each one of us. This is a covenant. This is a promise that you tell the Lord, I will do what you tell me to do. You know, you'll see that a little later on this thing here. But you got to understand that what you learn here is the heaven itself. Once you understand that, you live in this powerful knowledge inside of you that lives within the glory of intelligence, where a human being can be a little human being, a little animal of the earth, and you can have this magnificent knowledge that comes in the understanding of yourself. You see, you would be surprised to know how the Lord works inside of you. You would be so surprised, but if you don't know, you think that those feelings, those are your feelings. No. The feelings that the Lord puts inside of you are your feelings. But the Lord puts them in there for you so you can understand the power of this great teaching that we have inside of ourselves, to take an animal and teach him to understand the laws. Read some more, Rena.
When Moses went and told the people all the Lord's words and laws, they responded with one voice, everything the Lord has said, we will do.
Okay,
Moses.
I want to stop that. You know, we will do. In other words, if you don't understand when the Spirit of the Lord speaks inside of you when you want to do a certain deed, to do a certain verb, and you don't look inside here to see what the understanding of that verb is, you may say, well, how come a man becomes a priest? Because he was called from within and all that. The Lord called. You see, this is the Lord. He rejects you or he accepts you. When he accepts you, he tells you the truth. When he don't accept you, then he'll let you do what you want to do. You know, most of the time, those are the things you want to do because you want to become a priest, you want to become important. You see, this is what the Lord don't want you to do. The Lord wants you to listen to the power of yourself that you have in yourself to understand the teaching of the law before you can accept anything. Unless you understand the way the law works inside of you. And believe me, I'm going to teach the law for quite a few shows right now. I got the whole teaching of the law. And it's going to come all out in the most magnificent way that you never understood it before. You will understand adultery. You will understand what is not adultery, what is adultery, and why is it. And you're going to understand the 10 Commandments and the understanding of yourself in spiritual terms. Okay, Read the rest of that.
Okay. Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. That was finishing that.
Yeah, okay. Moses, we
Wrote down.
will do. Now, you see, you're making a commandment with the Lord here. In other words, you're making a covenant with the Lord, a promise that everything that's said here, you will do. And it's very important to look inside your soul and see what the Lord told you to do on every event of your life. If you want to be a great person in this world, you want to do something, you want to change the way people think, you got to go to the facts of the figures of life and understand the glory of intelligence itself, the laws of God. There is no greater glory. There is nothing in this world. You want to receive wisdom and wealth, you have to go to the teaching of the law. You want to receive, power and strength, you have to go to the teaching of the law. You want to understand glory and honor, you have to go to the teaching of the Lord. If you want to understand how to praise the Lord, you have to come to understand to the teaching of the Lord. These are the seven spirit of the Lord. And he controls them within inside of you here. Wealth and wisdom. This is the power to understand wealth and wisdom. Because if you don't understand the law, you don't have the wealth and the wisdom of the Lord. If you do have, you have to come to understand that wisdom that's inside of you is the understanding of the laws of God. And the laws of God are not, not to slap a person here and do that. You see, these little things come later on. The big things come first. How do you treat people around you? How do you, if you believe in the Lord will teach you to do that inside of yourself. But first, you got to learn the great power of the 73 elders of Israel first. You have to understand love. It's the most important thing that you can understand, and the truth that comes from it, because the truth is God. Everything else is a verb unto God that God has created for the purpose of life. Like the Christian tells you that God is the truth. They don't even know that. God is not love, He's the truth. The understanding of everything that was built and created in every way of life. It was done by the Lord in the understanding inside the soul of mankind. Read the next paragraph, Annie.
Moses then got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel.
You got to understand that 12th pillar here. To build an altar on the 12 sons of Jacob. It's unbelievable. This is how you begin to understand that everything is a spiritual term. Reuben, firstborn, you are my firstborn. And you see, you gotta make a plot of this. You gotta understand it like it's an altar in front of you. It's the altar of everything that is written in the Bible comes from that altar. Reuben is faith. Simeon is understanding. So you got to practice those verbs. Power of faith, power of understanding. Then the third one is Levi, love. Love is Levi. The understanding and the power of that. Then you have Dan with the affiliation with man and God. Nobody can escape that. No one in this world can ever escape that. I don't care if there's a million people that said that atheists, they don't believe in God. You cannot live in this world if you don't have an affiliation with the Creator. You cannot do that. You think you can do that. You can tell people you can do that, but you can't do that. Because soon as the thing comes against all of you and the four corners of heaven falls on you, you have to believe there's something higher than you are, than yourself. You got to understand that the power of the Lord is above all everything. And He created you, and you cannot understand how you were created without Him, because you cannot explain it. It's power of yourself that lives in the glory of this intelligence that we were created with. God said, I place my spirit in the animal, the human animal, and he will begin to understand But it took 6,000 years before people began to understand the word of the Almighty God. People had wars, famine of all kinds. I mean, you could see people walking around blind because of wars, because of stupidity. Everything that was done in the name of stupidity was done in those 6,000 years because the power was to live in total ignorance. You were born with a knock and a donkey. That means you were born stupid and stubborn. You don't want to learn anything else. You don't want to go somewhere. You can't go to the Lord unless you bring a gift for you. You have to bring an understanding to the Lord in order to be able, it's a sacrifice of yourself to learn something new every day of your life. The only way that you can make this affirming with the covenant of the Lord is to make this affirming in the understanding that you have to learn something new every day. If you don't have no gift to give to the Lord. You have nothing to bring to the Lord. The Lord is intelligent, and he has to transmit his intelligence inside of you. And if you won't let it, you're a donkey, you're stubborn, you don't want to learn nothing, and you're ignorant, you don't want to learn nothing. So you have to come to the understanding of the Lord. See, nobody's never preached like this before because they don't understand the scriptures. Once you understand the scriptures, the spiritual book, and only a spiritual book, then you begin to understand that everything that's written in this book, every single thing, the 12th tribe of Israel, everything that's in here is spiritual. It's not something that you can sort out with your mind, because you can't sort it out with your mind. The only way that I could sort this is with the Lord on my side, and with love on my side, and with Joshua on my side. And you're going to see that Joshua is going to come up pretty soon there, because Joshua is the angel of freedom. You got to be free from all religion. You got to be free from everything that was taught to you to understand for yourself. You go there like a little baby to understand the coming of the time, the confirming of the covenant of the Lord inside of you. You got to look at it in the understanding of this great gift that you are within yourself, to understand this gift of intelligence that lives inside of you, that only comes to the free-hearted. It doesn't come to the people that don't set themselves free before they go up to the mountain of the Lord. You can read all this stuff here, you won't understand them because you're not free. You believe in Christianity, you believe in the Catholic Church, you believe in the Muslim religion, you believe in the Jehovah's Witness, or anybody that you believe in. Stop you from understanding, because unless you have a free heart, you cannot cross the great power of the Lord. You know, this great God of intelligence comes because you go on this mountain now with Moses. Moses, the lawgiver. It's a spirit that you have inside yourself to learn the laws of God. You go into the mountain of the Lord. You're going to be there for 40 days, not 40 on the understanding, but you're going to be there in the understanding that God has sent the human race for 40 days, mean 40 part of the 40 lifetimes of the Lord. Now you have these power here. We are just crossed into the 21st century, where the Lord said, on the day I will rest. On my seventh day I will rest. This is the seventh day of the creation. You have to look at yourself and say, what am I going to do to learn the laws of God? I cannot understand it from religion. They don't explain it to me. I don't understand it from the Bible because it doesn't make sense to me. I want to go up to that mountain. I want to be part of the teaching of the Lord. I want to be part of the word that makes sense. This is what heaven is. Heaven is to know these things, because you live on the spiritual value of knowledge. And it's like a ship that you travel inside of you. I can only explain it from my experience myself, in the understanding that you travel on something that makes sense. It's the common sense of the Lord, the real Son of God. Jesus is not the Son of God. He's a man like the rest of us. But the real Son of God is our common sense. You accept the common sense of your intelligence to go up the mountain as free as a bird, and you go into that mountain to understand with love and the two sons of Aaron to understand love and the rest of the verb of the great power of the law. Each one of it. You see, once you understand the 12th tribe of Israel, you understand. Now Dan, after Dan, you got Issachar. You know, that's the religion, that's government of the earth. And Dan is like if you believe in country and God. See, these are two together. They're slave son from the slave ship, from the slave girl. So you got to come to understand you're going to be slave to these things. You have to be slave to the religion of the heart. And you have to be slave to a government that controls people in the way of the mind. You cannot go by that. This is the great power of understanding. And then the other two sons of the slave girl, which come from Beshah, you know what I mean? You got to understand the great power that these two sons next is, well, money and business. This is what controls the whole world. Those four sons there, those four sons that comes from the slave girl that we have to be slaves to. Because if you're not slave to business, you won't provide for yourself, for others, and everything else. See, business is holy. Because business, and a lot of people say they're crook and all that, you know, you got to get by your sin, you know, in order to understand that. If you don't get by your sin and you judge people and everything you do, you don't go across. You stay on one side because you think you're better than them, you know. But business also provide for you, for the people around you, and for everything. A good businessman feeds 1,000 persons. A dead spirit feeds not even himself. You know, if you say, well, geez, I don't need all this stuff. I don't need to. Well, no. When you do business, you run a business, you feed the people around you, people that works for you. I mean, you see, when in love, you have to be fair and full of justice. That's what love is. Okay, when you come to the understanding of love and justice, then you look and try to do the honest way of living. Now, it doesn't mean that people ain't going to screw up and they ain't going to cheat the poor. You know, this is going to happen no matter what. But, see, this is what these things are. They're holy, and they come inside of you. Then you look at life. Life is a gamble. For everybody, you have to gamble to get there. It's the same thing with the understanding. Life is also a fight. You have to fight. In the understanding of the great power of the Scriptures all your life, you will have to fight to prove the understanding of the truth that's inside of you and share it with the world. And it's not going to be easy, believe me. I know. I went through it. I know what it is. And then you have the other two sons of Jacob. You know, you have the dreamer. Dreamer is so important here. Joseph, the great dreamer, the firstborn of Rachel. Rachel is the wife that Jacob loved the most. And he loved his son Joseph more than anything else on earth because he's the one that creates things. He's the angel of technology. He's the angel of great power. These are the son of Rachel, the great power, the beautiful wife of Jacob, the one that has beautiful hips and, you know, the whole thing. You see, the Bible was written like that for you to understand in the way so you can come to understand the power of the Great Spirit. Then you get the last one, competition. Competition, the sports that we live, the competition, you play cards, you play anything you want to play. You're full of competition with other people. You like to play games. You like to compete in business. You like to compete. This is the angel. These are the 12 plot that you have to set up before the Lord. And when you set these up, you bring this gift to the Lord. You're going up there with something. And then from these things, you got the 24 elders, the 24 great answer of the scriptures to understand the life of the creation, the life when God put his spirit in mankind. You can understand it, that this is what happened to mankind. We were given the gift of God inside of our soul, 6,000 years ago. We didn't use it well. Look at the destruction of mankind, the creation, death, and everything there was. And, it's very, but the time has come. The seventh day of the Lord is coming, 24th century, to separate the goat and the sheep. You got to understand, goat and the sheep, people that think that they're saved by Jesus. I tell you something. You will come to understand that this is not the way it works. It works by the teaching of the law, the common sense of the intelligence of the law. You got to come to understand that you're taking these things into common sense inside of you, and you throw them back into the understanding of life. I come here to throw what I have learned from the Lord on this station over here, and so you can come to understand how to worship God. Worship God. Keep on telling you in there. Don't worship the false prophet. Don't worship the false religion. Don't go into their church. That's only a cave. You won't learn nothing there. You learn everything from the church of Christ himself, which is here, the church of your common sense. That's what the church of Christ is, the understanding of the great power. Read some more, Rita.
So you were saying the 12 tribes is the 12 pillars to build the altar, right?
You build the altar on the 12 tribes. In other words, when you build an altar, you put stones in there.
Yeah.
And those stones are faith. So you have faith in the 12th tribe of Israel inside your soul. You got to understand that God could not explain this unless he used the animal. So he used a human animal and said, well, I'm going to transfer inside of you the great knowledge of what God is. And that's inside of you here. It's like a road to understand God directly. Okay? That's the 12th tribe of Israel. It's to open those 12 tribes inside yourself. Go ahead.
Then Moses sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord.
Okay, I want to explain that law there. The young man, very important to understand. You see all the key words here? They're all hitting the human heart. When you read this, all these words are hitting my heart. That's it. Young man, new people. New soul, new understanding. And they go and they burn bull. Bull mean an ox. Bull mean a stupid ignorance. You have to burn your ignorance. If you don't burn your ignorance on the altar and say, God, I don't know nothing. Please tell me something. Religion don't teach me nothing. The government don't teach me nothing. The business world don't teach me nothing. The money system don't teach me nothing. So you have to go to the Lord and offer on this pillar of knowledge the understanding of trying to destroy your ignorance. How you destroy your ignorance? By looking inside of you for the purpose that you have to come to think better than a person that is ignorant. You have to transfer that into a knowledge of the great power of yourself so you can come to understand the glory of intelligence inside the glory of life. If you're going to try to fit a 3/8 bolt in a 3/4 socket, it's not going to work. You have to know the facts of life in order to understand the facts of life. And that's what it comes inside of you. It's just like working in the way of the animal. You work inside your spirit just like if you would work in your garage. You have to use your common sense in order to make things fit where they belong. And if you find something that don't fit there, And no matter how much you try to put it there, it can't fit. So you have to learn from where it comes from the great power. Now God said, okay, 6,000 years, I'm going to take a whole bunch of people and I'm going to pour my spirit inside of them. And I'll call them Adam and Eve, the great power to understand. Now, God did just take one man and one woman. I mean, that's not the way it happens. You know, woman, you know, they say a woman in flesh, you know, is assembled to a man in flesh. But don't think of the flesh. You think of mind and spirit, Adam and Eve, you know. So you got to come to understand it in the spiritual power of human thinking. This Bible was not written for the animal. It was written for the human spirit, the great power of human thinking. Okay, read some more a little bit.
Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he sprinkled on the altar.
Okay, I want to explain that here. I don't want to jump over anything.
Yeah.
You know, you see, he took the blood you take the blood of the bowl, of ignorance, and you put it in the bowl. And then you take the other half and you spread it on the altar where people begin to understand. In other words, no one can understand everything. So you have to store some away so you can learn content. You learn tomorrow as well as the day after tomorrow. But first, you have to have some knowledge to begin with. And this is what it is. This is what I'm doing now. I'm sprinkling the blood of ignorance around the altar of mankind. I'm bringing common sense into it. And then I will restore some of it for tomorrow, the day after. So you got to come and understand, and then you're going to see what you're going to do with the rest of the blood there. You know, see, you got to come to understand that it's only for those that really want to win the wisdom of the Lord, and then you will be able to understand it. You see, I can talk to Christian all I want. They won't hear me because they're not there. They just ain't there. And they keep on going to listen to people that don't know, so they can't learn because nobody sprinkled the blood on them. You see, the blood of ignorance, you have to admit and say, you have to bleed it out of you. Bring it out of you because it makes no sense to believe in something that makes no sense. You know, and religion right now, and the fake heaven and the fake hell and all the things that was taught by religion since the beginning of this great process from Adam and Eve until now, makes no sense. We're not going to fly over like, you know, with Jesus after we die, because that's what they tell you to believe, which is not true. It's the dumbest thing that you can ever imagine. You got to sprinkle the blood of the common sense of intelligence. You take it, and it's a new blood. See, the beast was killed. They killed the bull there. And now you begin to understand as a human being. It becomes the blood of the covenant, of the understanding. The understanding of the covenant, you make it a deal with the Lord your God. And the Lord your God process you in the understanding of this great power of the teaching of the Lord your God yourself. God, who is the truth, come to the understanding of the truth by the power of the reason that he was created with. You spring it on the altar. Your altar, and you just said there, build an altar. And build it with stone. Build it, you know, and you can see it in the teaching of building an altar, how he did it. You know, you got to come to understand that the power is in you. And when it's sprinkled into your altar, you begin to understand. It's no longer hitting at that point. You see, the bull is dead, and he won't come back to life unless you let him back into your life, the understanding of ignorance, and you practice ignorance. The Bible keeps on telling you, 58,000 million times in the Bible, don't listen to false religion. Don't go there. Don't worship a false god. Don't do this. Don't worship their gods. you know, the great power of the stupidity of mankind. You see, you got to come to understand the power of yourself and in your own altar. And you killed, and these were young men killing these bulls now. Read another line to see.
Then Moses took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has said.
Okay,
we
now.
will obey."
We will obey. We will do what the Lord said. But did they understood? See, this is the power of the greatest glory of intelligence ever known to mankind. How do you understand with the book of the covenant? What is the book of the covenant? The book of the covenant is to be able to understand this book, to understand these things in spiritual terms, to understand the 12 sons of Jacob in spiritual value, to understand the power of all the spirit that's all around us right now, you know, that gives us knowledge every day of our life. When you're looking for an idea because you want to fix a car or do something else, you know, you go to your computer, you look at it, and then it tells you exactly how to do it. Well, it's the same thing with the book of the covenant. It's like a computer that you have inside yourself. And that computer tells you exactly how to act inside of you, exactly how to deal with people. You know, you don't learn that in Christianity because Christianity don't know how to act himself. The guy came out of jail, they won't give him a job because he committed a crime. He was a child molester. Can't give him a job. No, I can't give him a job. Oh, no, that would be stupid of me. You see, you forget the most important thing of the whole thing. I was hungry, and you did not feed me. I was naked, and you did not clothe me. I was hungry. I was thirsty. You did not give me water. I was a stranger. You didn't welcome me. I was, you know, a person, and you did not accept me as a person. You know, you got to say to the Lord, when did we do that, Lord? I don't remember doing that. And the Lord will answer to them, when you did it to the least of mine, you did it to me. See, this is written in the book of the New Testament. Jesus brought this idea to the earth. Now, how many people practice that? How many people, I will be a good person. I'm going to go work in the soup kitchen, and I'm going to feed the poor. And I'm a good Christian for that. But when do you stop judging people? That's what I want to know. You know, a person went to jail for a certain crime. Now he's back into society, which he wants to live with everybody else because he doesn't want to be in jail no more. And he needs a job. You go there to get a job, and you can't get a job because you didn't ask for charity, because you committed a sin against, you know, society. And you can judge him because you believe you're on the side of the Lord. Well, that's not true. That is not true. You want to be on the side of the Lord, you got to do to those that has been put down. When it's time to love someone. When it's time to love someone. When he's did good for everybody. When he's made fine. He's a great, you know, great preacher in front, and he says beautiful things. Time to love him. Christians love the people they go to church with. That's not the time to love. You want to love somebody? You love the worst people. Love the people that has been beaten down to the ground, that you don't know where they come from. They don't know where the valley and the mountain they had to cross to get where they are. You have no idea the way they were raised. You have no idea. And you, as a Christian or as a person of value, call yourself the value of the earth. You can't find value to help these people, to give them a job. You got a factory, you hire people, give a job to those that needs a job. They need money to eat. They need money to pay their rent. They need money to live. And they looking for work because they need work. And people judge them. Oh, no, I don't want to hire him. Oh, he went to jail. He's a piece of garbage. You know, see, that's so awful to say that about other people. You know, you got to be a real good Christian to say that about other people, because I tell you the truth. The great glory of the Lord is inside of you, speaking through you there. And all the people that sees you believe you. And so you inflame the men of not just one man, but you inflame the heart of the secretary that's there for you and the other people. You denied them. So time to love people is when they're at their lowest, and when the world has beaten them down to the sting of everything that they ever try. That's the time to love someone. Trying to accept them. Trying to give them a little boost for themselves. And love them, because love, as the Christians say, they keep on saying that love is God for them. But they don't practice anything that love gives you to practice. They only love the people they go to church with, the people that works with them. Oh, I accept them. You know, so long as they're as good as them now. If they're not good Christians like them, they don't accept them. You know, I tell you, the door of heaven is locked for these people. They'll never be able to understand the glory of the human intelligence as long as they don't kill the bull on the altar. Go ahead, Rita.
Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words."
Okay, now, look at that now. Look at that. The blood of the covenant. Is that the same statement that Jesus said at the last table? The blood of the final covenant of the Lord. This is the covenant of the Lord. This is the blood. You know, because I'm an animal and I bleed. I have an understanding. And if you don't love me as I am in the blood that I stand for, the intelligence that I stand for, you don't love me at all. Great power of a human being to speak in the understanding that inside of us, there's some glory of intelligence inside of you that give this glory of this greatest knowledge of all time. Christians, they love to pick on people when they're not as good as them. They love to sit at a table and talk about this guy and that guy. Look what he did. He went to jail. You know, because they don't understand that, see, this blood, the other half of the blood of the bull there, Moses said, throw it on the people. Who's going to love him? Who is going to be able to come out of that with the understanding? Remember that he brought Aaron with him on top of the mountain there. And that's where the blood of the covenant is. What are you going to do for those that are not accepted? What are you going to do for the people that are special ed? Oh, a lot of people don't even go. I remember back years ago, we went to McDonald's, and this woman, you know, my wife was sitting with the children of a state. You know, she was working for the state, and we had 6, 7 children from the state. And this woman got up and said, "They should put these people in confinement. You know, they should not be in society." And man, I tell you, it was not. These people have feeling. These special people have feeling, and their feeling is just as important as anybody else. And if they're gonna talk like that about a person that didn't have no choice of what happened to his birth or the way he was, these people cannot understand. And they might call themselves good Christian. I didn't know this woman, but they could call themselves a good Christian, go to church, sit down, get up and do all the things that religion tells them to do, but they don't do the Lord's will. Because the Lord's will, it's like the parable of Jesus that tells you there was 2 sons. When, you know, the master asked the oldest son, he said, "Go work in the vineyard." And the kid said, "No, I'm going to go. Yes, Father, I'm going to be there." And then he didn't go. And then the second one said no to his father. But then when later on he went to work in the vineyards. Now, which did the father's will? You know, the second one. Because the understanding of this great power, who does the father's will? the one that say yes to God or the one that say no, but think about it a little bit later on and go and do it. That's what it's all about, my friend. It's the understanding that a human being in the face of the great power of these scriptures come in the understanding that we live for. Read some more, Rena.
Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 7 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel.
There's 70, right?
70.
Okay. Okay.
And saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of sapphire, clear as the sky itself. But God did not raise his hand against these leaders of the Israelites. They saw God, and they ate and drank.
Oh, so important. This is the greatest power now. To be able to see the Lord your God. And for you to eat and drink with the Lord. What is more important in this world? This is what we have been doing here to people that listen to my show now today. We've been drinking the blood of the covenant, the wine itself, and then we've been eating the bread of life. This is what we're doing here. We're not doing anything else but that. To listen to this covenant and here, you listen to the rule that makes you obey the rule. This is what it's all about. To be able to see the rule, not in church, because that's not where the rules are made. It's outside on the street. When you see someone, a friend of yours, that lost everything and comes to you for help. And I turn him down. No, I don't want to help this guy. No, I don't want to, he's a bum. I don't want to, even he knows you. He probably was raised with you, but he fell to the deepest part of himself and lost everything. And you can't help him because you think you will lose something if you help him because you don't have this power inside yourself to see the bread of life and the cup of the covenant. You can't see that. When you transfer the blood of the bowl there into the cup of the covenant, into that bowl there, you're supposed to come and renew your soul to the power of yourself, where people don't become people because they did something bad or because they did something good. People do stupid things all the time. And maybe you don't do those stupid things because you prevent yourself from doing it. But you see, people sometimes make mistakes. And over they make the same mistake. And believe me, it's not easy to accept these people. But those are the people you have to accept, the people that goes to jail, and the things that you need to know to bring these people to the straight light of the Lord your God. Because to them, they've been dumped into every category of people that you ever can understand. Because they failed. Look at them, they're bums. They use the word bums against them. They use the word, oh man, these guys are prostitute, they this. Any word that matches what they think of them. And these words are not the truth. Power. First, you have a human being inside those people. No matter how dumb they may be, no matter how off the record they may be, because inside of them, they did not listen to the voice of the Lord. They did not listen to what the Lord was telling them. They say, we will do. But when it's time to do it, they have remorse about it. They think if they give, $1,000 to someone and they have $20,000 in the bank, they're going to be broke if they keep doing that. But that's when the Lord will bless them. The Lord bless you in the wealth. You swear to the covenant of the Lord, the seventh spirit of the Lord, wealth and wisdom. And if you don't use that wealth and wisdom in the great power of what we come here to do, in the understanding of this great glory of what intelligence is supposed to be. You see, in other words, we're supposed to be better than a lion. Lion is hungry, he eats, kills and eats. You're supposed to be better than the bull, and you're supposed to have intelligence. You're supposed to be better than the animal that you come from, because you're coming to a covenant that makes sense. And all the animals of the world don't have that covenant. And you have to go above, otherwise you will remain at the level of the animal. And you'll never be able to be better than an animal. Because if you don't come to think above yourself, for the feeling of yourself and the understanding of the Almighty God inside of you, you cannot cross over the animal to the great power of the salvation of the Lord. The door of heaven is like this. It's locked right now for those that don't understand. And they cannot cross over that. All the Christian of the world is locked for them. The thing is, because they believe in something that makes sense to them, but don't make sense to anybody else. They've been locked because they think that, we go to work for a living. They should go to work for a living. Maybe they don't have a job to go to work for. Maybe they're out there. Feed them, love them, and don't think about twice to take care of them. You see, the Lord is very strange about that, because he made this covenant based on the highest intelligence of all that man can be. And he said, this is my covenant. There's no higher intelligence. This is the intelligence of the Lord. The great power of the covenant of the Lord is the covenant of the highest intelligence that there is. But then the simple man and the simple man that works for himself and does well for himself cannot understand that. Why? Because the one that don't understand it don't have the value to understand it. Because he lost the value into the animal instinct. And when you lose the value, it's like a dog has a piece of meat in front of him. Another dog wants it, and he'll fight him for it. That's the way you are. Exactly the way it was then. We live in a society that's plenty of food for everybody. But a lot of people are starving. Why? There's no reason for that. And you say, well, it's their fault. Well, you can blame them if you want to. But the thing is, not everybody has the same thing. And the children of God are the one that went through the great persecution. The greatest persecution of all is the people that have been persecuted. How you determine who's going to go to heaven and who's not going to go to heaven? And the Bible tells you very straight, is those that went through the great persecution. Those that were persecuted for being. Though a girl that had a baby without being married, was persecuted for every generation. She was called all kinds of names in the book because she made love to a man, and that was her feelings. Okay, read it a little bit more.
The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commands I have written for their instruction."
Remember these words here. That's why I wanted to read this here, because the next power, come up here, and I will give you the stone of the covenant. This is the stone of the covenant. This is the stone that Jesus talked about 2,000 years ago. These are the same stone that I talk about today. Be kind to others. Be good. Try to open your heart, not in the way of religion, but in the way of common sense. You see a person that's not a Christian, don't even think about it, because it's not the... See, this is the covenant of the Lord. The Lord gives this covenant inside the heart of a human being, and that covenant is the highest intelligence on the face of this earth, and it's the least practiced on the face of this earth. Why? Because maybe we don't have the wisdom of God, because we failed to understand the teaching of his law. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad that I had a chance to explain that to you. And we will come there with some more in a few weeks from now. God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in.